Hello, and welcome to Geeks Assembled. And today we're talking about two movies in a movie franchise with a few years in between each one. We are talking the Jumanji franchise. But first, we're going to discuss with these guys here who's joined me today the original Jumanji from 1995, starring Robin Williams and a very, very young Kirsten Dunst. Um, so, without further ado, we'll go around the guys and we'll, get their opening thoughts on this movie. So, we'll go to Susan first. Let's have her opening thoughts on this movie with Jumanji.
Hello, my name is Susan, and I'm a sort of a regular here on Geeks Assembled. And I really enjoy the first movie. I really do love what Robin Williams, his sort of otherworldly character that he brings to it, and I love it's such a long drawn out beginning, where they're setting up the fact that he'd gotten stuck in the game, and so that was interesting, and I find it really delightful, the interplay between the kids. Kirsten Dunst is a good child actor and a good adult actor. She's got a lot of chops, and I found it amusing. Let's see, the stuff I found amusing was them jumping on the chandelier in the flood and through the house. That was hilarious. And I also like the vine creature, the vine, adversary that wraps around the cop car. And my favorite bit is when he folds the cop car in half and drags it through the forest. And I also love the monkeys. I love the monkeys. They're hilarious. They're like gremlins. They're amazing. Anyway, that's my favorite bits and my opening thoughts for Jumanji, the first one. Here's Alex.
Okay. I do like the first movie better. There was also an animated show also that ran for maybe 2 to 4 years. The original movie I liked better. It had a lot of famous actors. Kristen Dunst has been in a lot of movies from the 90s to the 2000s. And now she's semi-retired and has a family. Unfortunately, Robin Williams is no longer with us. And David Alan Grier is still around, and Babe Newith is still around. But a lot of the other characters in the movie are not around. It's very fast-paced. You have one actor as the father at the beginning and the hunter. It's the same actor. And it was also kind of interesting, the gun question, because he had to buy a new gun because the hunter was like from 18 something to 1850 or 1870 to 1900, because all his equipment was like 1901 or something like that. And it is an interesting movie. It's also an interesting movie in the fact that you have the city life, because this takes place in New Hampshire, and that's a New England area place. And then you also have the city life, the factory, and all these other things going on, and the jungle animals, spiders and bears and mosquitoes and all these other things, sort of drowning out the city. And it's also amusing when the boat and all that other stuff happens in the mini mall or the mini mall store. I'm not quite sure which one it is. I do like that better than the second movie, but like I said, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But I saw the animated series. It's okay. could have been a lot worse. It's not. I think it's sort of in between the movies here, and I don't know if they're going to make a third one, and if it's going to be set in the past or the present. But I guess it jumps around between the hunters from the 1900s and the original child character that grows up to be Robin Williams is in like the 1968 or something like that. And then the kids in the Jumanji movie are from the 90s. So I guess in a way they sort of have a little bit of time travel going on. Yeah. Jumping between all those different decades in the same century of the 1900s, I guess. But yeah, I like the first movie better.
What's your favorite bit?
No, I said what my favorite bits were.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, it was a little weird about the gun joke. The clerk wanted him to fill out all this paperwork, and he just takes a handful of gold coins and dumps it, and the clerk says, "Oh, I'll fill it out." He's just so happy to see the gold coins. But like I said again, that's the other question too, is that are a lot of movies made, with the thought that they'll be seen 20, 30 years on, and if people have the same reaction.
Thanks for those opening thoughts there from you two. We'll go to a new face. We'll go over to Rob, and we'll see what his opening thoughts on the Jumanji original movie is. Hello, Rob.
Ah, there we go. Sorry about that. I thought you had to unmute me. Yeah, I'm new. Broadcasting from a secret location in my house. I gotta say, between the two movies, I don't know if I had a favorite. I think they both equally had strong strengths. I kind of felt they were kind of the same. But what really can you do with a board game? But as far as the first one goes, I don't think I've ever watched Robin Williams in anything that I haven't enjoyed. And he does great evil characters, even better than his comedy. He's a dark man. We talking about Susan had said something about get right into the movie. One of the things that I noticed that the movie does not have any opening credits. You go right into the movie and nothing is introduced. And so I thought, that's got to be rather unique of pretty much any movie. I did enjoy when the guy was in there buying his guns. Now, you mentioned about how are movies filmed just for the time that it's being filmed, or do you expect the movie to be reflected on years down the road? One of the things that was said in the store scene is the clerk asked the hunter, "Oh, are you a postal worker?" Well, in the United States around that time, there were a lot of postal worker shootings going on. That became slang term for being crazy. So, I think as time goes on, if kids today have watched the new one and then go back and watch the second one, they're not going to get that bit of humor. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. That'll go back and chuckle me every time. I did enjoy. I do like Kirsten Dunst. A lot of people don't, it seems like. But just a bit of trivia. Scarlett Johansson tried out for the role too. That Kristen ultimately got. And the movie. Another interesting thought too, and I hope I'm doing this right. Robin Williams was interviewed about the movie after it was done and why it was billed as a family movie. He thought it was too scary for children, and he wouldn't let his children go see the movie. So it's and you know, I suppose it would be kind of scary for children, especially if they are younger, because it is kind of spooky. I mean, but that's the kind of things that little kids like to watch. That's why Goosebumps and R.L. Stein. That's why all that stuff is popular. Gosh, there's so much good stuff. I mean, like when the I wish I could remember names. The black guy, he's a comedian. Back when he was in the shoe factory, he made the original like Air Jordan, but it was supposed to be worn by Wilt Chamberlain. Don't you ever wonder how he put that thing together with his own hands? I mean, come on. And then another thing that just comes to my mind is when the boy goes back to get the axe so they can cut the vines. He goes back and he's trying to get in the shed, and so he picks up the axe and starts chopping at the door before he looks at us and finally breaks the fourth wall. And I've got the thing in my hand, and takes off back. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
so
Well,
much good
yeah.
stuff.
Well, yeah.
I was saying, let me say one other thing, and I'll shut up. Jumanji, interestingly enough, if you've read the book, the name Jumanji actually comes from the Zulu word meaning many effects.
Yeah.
Now I'll shut up.
Oh no, no need to put it that way.
Well,
No,
I knew. You need to shut me up.
the interesting thing is, the book was written in 1981, and he's actually had sort of 4 movies inspired by what he's written. Zarathustra was another movie. Even though it's not entirely related, Small Soldiers that Kristen Dunst was also in, where the action figures are alive and all that.
That was him too, huh?
It was no, but it is an interesting unless it was inspired. Not a reboot, not a reimagining, but actually inspired or an influence to that movie that she was also in. Because she started off with Woody Allen, just like Scarlett Johansson did. So I wonder if that is coincidental, or the fact that there just wasn't a lot of, movie studios back then. Remember that this was still a time where the internet wasn't as big as it is now, and it wasn't on everybody's phones as it is now. If we're talking about 1995, the internet wasn't as big. Also, even though these movies cost a lot of money, over $80 million to make and stuff, they've made their money back several fold. So I don't know if it's a family movie, if it's a fairy tale, if it's an adventure. They've made over $200 million with these movies and this franchise alone. So
the thing that would have made it a family movie, or that would have not made it a family movie, is if the lion would have attacked.
yeah, maybe.
Okay, but let's move on so that other people can.
Okay, thanks for all your input there, Rob. That is some interesting things you brought there, Rob. Thanks for that. Let's see. I'm spoiled for choice now. Let's go to Stephen Price. We'll leave Brian till last. So Stephen Price, what's your thoughts on Jumanji?
Well, it's the first time I've ever watched this movie. I know it's been out
Oh,
for
really?
a while. Yeah. Yeah, I pardon me. I really enjoyed it. Robin Williams was brilliant in it. I like the effects. When was it made? 1995.
95, yes.
Yeah, it's good effects for the the time. Like, yeah, my favourite scenes were the stampede through the house. Robin Williams running down the street, and all the people, all the people looking at him. Who the heck is this? Like, yeah, it's a brilliant movie, and I'll tell you my favourite bits later.
Oh, okay. You're going to keep us in suspense. Okay. Let's move over to Brian the Terrible. Brian,
What?
over to you. Over to you. Earth calling Brian.
I'm not terrible. What are you talking about? I'm
Come on, get on with it.
Well, all right. Since it's my turn, what can I just say about Jumanji? I mean, Jumanji, the first Jumanji film, is probably one of the best all-time favorite movies that I enjoy and love. I absolutely love the movie. It's one of the best.
Brian, can I just point out, you say that about every movie we talk about.
Well, I mean,
I'm pulling your leg.
Most of the time, not most of the time, but all the time, because there's so many movies out there that are just that good. And Jumanji happened to be one of them. And by the way, it's 69, not 68 that Alan Parrish was from. It was 69.
Ooh, he's so picky.
I love Jumanji though. There was so many great moments in this film. So many great moments. Even the film itself is great. It's not just one few moments, but the whole film itself is great. I absolutely enjoyed it and loved it. I mean, the characters from the movie, I know quite a few. Not just Robert Williams. I know from other things, but like Bonnie Hunt as Sarah, Kirsten Dunst, a young Kirsten Dunst, as you said, Lee. But I don't know the guy that played Peter. I know it was the first thing I mostly seen him in, because I don't remember anything or recognize him from anything else. So, but Jumanji, yeah, I love. It's just the best. I can honestly say I don't really know like what my favorite moments are, because there, again, like I said, there are so many great moments within the film. I love it.
So you didn't like it at all then, Brian?
No, what are you talking about?
Show us your game.
I got it. I got the movie right here. This is the box cover of the movie. It's a collector's edition, and when you open it, it's the game board itself.
And does it work?
I wish. No. Oh no, it's just a little special collector's edition of like the movie for the box cover, and I just decided to get it. And no, Lee, it's not Blu-ray. So no, so it's good. I love Jumanji.
Cheers for that, Brian. I'll say my little piece, and yeah, I agree with everything what everybody said. Made in 1995. The effects are a little bit dated now. You can't sell it, it was made back then, but they're still good. They're still enjoyable. For me, I mean, Robbie Williams, he can't do no wrong. He was, he was like he was born to do this role. Well, nearly every role he's been in, it was like he was born to do every role he was in. But for me as well, Jonathan Hyde in this, who plays his father, and Van Pelt. What a brilliant character as the hunter, Van Pelt. Yeah, it's amazing scenes. It's funny. The humour's there, and for me, it's the threat of the game coming out. That the animals coming out of the game into the real world. That's the threat in this. As the other movie, the sequel, it's the other way around. Which for me doesn't work as well, but we'll get onto that later on. For me, yeah, an enjoyable movie. It's a classic. It's a classic 90s movie. It made a hell of a lot of money. It just took so long for a sequel to come along. And it's a shame to say Robin Williams wasn't around for the sequel. What could have been? Yeah, it's very enjoyable. And one of me, the scenes, what I always giggle at is where Robin Williams and the cop are driving in the car. He's handcuffed to the wheel, and the police bike is coming alongside, and there's three monkeys on it, one with a helmet over his eyes, one with a gun. I just that for me just makes me. I don't know why. That's the sort of person I am. I just laugh at three monkeys on a motorbike. But it's a good film. It's an enjoyable film. Anybody can sit down and watch this. For me personally, from ages of 5 upwards, and as it's been mentioned, the gun shop scene. Yeah, it's that one. Because I forgot that scene was in the movie. Because I rewatched the movie again this week. I forgot that scene was in the movie, and I thought, oh, it took me back a bit, that scene, for some reason. Just here's some money, give us a gun. What can you say?
Well,
what can you say about that sort of thing?
Also saying that I forgot to say that I recently found out the guy that plays Van Pelt in the movie The Hunter was also the father.
Yes,
well, not
mentioned.
But
it's been mentioned, Brian.
Yeah, I didn't find out recently, but I found like maybe a couple years ago at best, finding out that was the same actor.
Well, that's because I think that it was trying to make out that it was the fear of his father was coming out in the Van Pelt character. That's why he's visibly looked like his father. This is what, and so this is why I'm assuming this is why Van Pelt in the new version was nothing like Jonathan Hyde character. But we'll get to that later on.
He was in the new movie?
Van Pelt character was in the new movie, yes.
I didn't even know it, and I didn't even see him in the new movie.
Well, no, because it was a different actor. But we'll get to that later on. So, anybody, we'll just have a little open the floor discussion. Anybody else with any tidbits or want to put any more into this conversation about Jumanji?
It just seems like to me, Brian's learning so much on today's podcast.
Do you know, Brian, I'll tell you something, Brian does learn a lot. I mean, we do really old movies, classic movies from the 1940s, 50s, what he's never seen. And I like this because we get a chance to sit down and watch these sort of things. Well, some people have never seen these movies, and it's an eye-opener for Brian, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, and also I'm from like one of the younger generations of like
yeah. I mean, it was only about a year ago that we talked about Mary Poppins, and he'd never seen that before.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So,
not until that point, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then you went out and bought it on DVD. Blu-ray, sorry, yes. Yeah. But yeah, we like to educate. So, does anybody have anything else to say about Jumanji? If you want to say now.
How about Stephen? No? He didn't give his favorite moment.
Okay, that will.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I at the beginning of the movie, I thought, oh no, I'm not gonna like this, but I did really enjoy it. And my favorite moments, Susan's already said one, is the police car, getting sucked into the snapped in half and just taken. The other part is the thought was hilarious. It made me laugh a lot. The crocodile scene, where Robin Williams is trying to wrestle with the crocodile. But that was hilarious.
Do you know, Stephen? When I rewatched that again, with the crocodile scene, it so reminded me of Johnny Weissmuller. Just rolling about with a rubber crocodile in the water. Go on, Rob. What was that?
The other one was where they both Robin Williams and the police officer were in the car, and you could see a motorcycle come in, and it was 3 monkeys on it. Thought that was hilarious. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for that, Stephen. Rob, you were saying?
Yeah, you mentioned about the alligator scene, or the crocodile scene, or whatever it was, the giant lizard. You'll find, as you get to know me, I like trivia. There was actually a guy in that outfit, and Robin Williams had said that he got so animated with fighting that crocodile, he actually gave it an elbow, and the guy from the costume said, "Hey, be careful," while this was all going on. Now, I don't know if that was edited out or they used that scene, but Robin said that was rather funny to him.
The things you learn. Right then, so if no one else has got anything to say, we'll look at the final score for this movie then. We'll go to Susan and Alex.
Wait a minute. Don't we want to do...
What?
Don't we want to do another round robin for the second movie?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. So professional I am. Right then, we won't give us a score.
Not yet.
All right.
Not yet. No, I was jumping the gun. As usual. That's the story of my life. But,
Okay.
we will now talk about. We'll now talk about the 2017 sequel, Welcome to the Jungle, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, starring The Rock and Karen Gillan, and Jack Black. So we'll go with Brian first. What's your thoughts on this one, Brian?
Yeah, just start with me now. Okay.
Oh yes, I like to mix things up.
All right. So, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. I saw this in theaters when it first came out, and I was mostly the first one to pick it up on DVD when it came out on that as well. So, but Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, it first starts out a year after the first one, because because the first one took place in '95, and this at the very beginning it says '96, so it's a year after the first one, at least the first few minutes of it anyway. And I thought that was like a little nod and tie-in with at least one of the little nods and tie-in with the first one, because you discovered the board game on the beach, and then that's from where it picks up, the film picks up and everything. But the film itself, I found really good. I mean, I thought the film was gonna be, when I first heard about the film be coming out in theaters, I thought it wasn't going to be really good at all. I thought it was going to be terrible, but I was wrong, and I honestly liked it, and because to me, I thought it took its own. I thought it took its own. I thought it took its own. It took its own. It took its own way on well, it took its own route of the film and its own direction, and I thought that was a best way and unique best way to do the Jumanji film, because it was hardly any mention of the first one, other than like discovering the game on the beach and having Van Pant in the movie, which I didn't even know until Lee just told me. And
Van Pelt is a character in the Jumanji game.
And also that little reference and nod to Robert Williams' character, that he made a little, like I guess like it was like a beach house or hut, whatever, within the jungle. And but other than those three references that were within the first movie, I thought that was the best and right way to do a Jumanji film without mentioning and doing way too much of the first one, because it wouldn't have been right if they would have overloaded and mentioned way too much. So this was the best direct and best way for a sequel. The cast is amazing. The Rock, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and Karen Gillan. And I just thought the movie itself was just funny as hell. I mean, I thought it was probably a bit more funny than the first one. Having like with the, I mean, I think the cast made it a little bit. The cast within this movie made it a bit more funny than the first one ever did. If I would ever have like a little nitpick of the this movie, is the board game actually turning into a video game when you open the there's still the cover of the board game, but you actually get to open and you get to like a little cartridge to a video game. I was like, what? But that's just a little like a little nitpick. But other than that, the movie, the film, and the stars of the film loved. It was just amazing. And again, I'm glad that they didn't mention way too much of the first one, just like little nods and references. So Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle is probably a good, decent film for a sequel.
So another film what Brian doesn't like. So we'll move over to we'll go over to Stephen Price. I'm guessing this is the first time you've seen this one as well, then, Stephen.
Yeah, I watched it today, and I just want to say I wish The Rock would cut down on his movies. He's made about 7 or 8 since last year. Give it a break. He's in every movie that's out.
I was thinking that when I was watching it.
It was okay. The effects were good in it. When this first came out, I thought, oh, another remake. Oh no, not again. The movie spoiled it for me with all this Lovecraft romance in it. I hate that in any movie. If it's a romantic drama, you will get all this love and all this. Yeah, it was okay. Effects were good. I did like the part of the motorcycles, and Jack Black was very good in it. I didn't like Karen Gillan. I don't like her I didn't like her in Doctor Who for a start. I'm very sorry.
Why? Don't bash Karen Gillan. That's my favorite companion right there.
No. Sarah Jane in hands down. That's all I got to say about it. for the time being.
Thanks for that, Stephen. The old romantic prize. So we'll move over to Rob now, see what he has to say about Welcome to the Jungle.
I think I'm kind of like everybody else. At first approach, was kind of worried what it was going to be. I mean, I was hoping that it wasn't just going to be a remake. I mean, because really, what else can you do about a board game? I mean, how many more stories can be told that's really going to make it different? Though with the cast, I mean, the first one had a great cast. Robin Williams, Bonnie Hunt, BB. I mean, everybody was good in the first. But then here again, for these guys they brought together in this cast, Karen probably still being the newbie, although she did have the TV show for a while. Everybody else pretty much has their characters already established. I don't think anybody really got out of their comfort zone as far as their acting was. I mean, you know, Dwayne, he was still WWE. You know, Jack Black was still doing all this girly man stuff. You know, I mean, Kevin Hart, he was Kevin Hart. I mean, I think we did get to see sort of a new performance from Karen, because I think this is something totally different from what she's done as far as being an aggressive player. I don't think the movie in and of itself was all that different, with the exception, yeah, this time we went into the game and we had the, you know, the computer game icons and stuff like that you'd hit your chest, and, you know, your displays and your statuses would come up. I thought it was interesting how Jack was able to give mouth to mouth, and he transferred one of his lives to the other character. And matter of fact, Jonas Boy wasn't originally supposed to be Seaplane. That was actually supposed to be Tom Holland. But because of Spider-Man Homecoming, he couldn't do it, had to give it up. And Tom Holland, I mean, Nick Jonas was good, but I would have liked to have seen Tom Holland in this, because Tom is a superb actor. I saw more references to the original movie. You know, not just, I mean, for example, everything in the jungle, the statues and the elephants, all that was based on the pieces and stuff from the original film. I mean, so all that was a pullback too. I mean, I think we had to have quite a bit pullback, because it's about the game Jumanji. You know, let's not forget that. It's about the game. You know, it's these people that are just involved with it. And yeah, you know, we have the story where one single person gets sucked into the game, and then years later, the rest of the group gets sucked into the game. And then at the end of the game, everybody gets spit back out into their appropriate times. So yeah, there's not just some time travel there, but there's some alternate reality crap going on, because, you know, things are actually changed as well. And I guess that's kind of the things that I meant about it being the same. I mean, to me, basically, the plot was the whole same plot. They did a fine job of shaking it up and making it new. I I mean, yeah. I mean, did you guys even know they shot this at the same place in Hawaii where they shot Jurassic Park? I mean, you can see a lot of the landscapes being the same and whatnot. But while they did shake a lot of stuff up, what made it funny and it was good. I mean, I wasn't disappointed with it. I didn't have the rave reviews like a lot of the people that are seeing it today do. But I guess that's maybe because pretty much nobody brought anything special, except for Karen, anything special to their roles. I'm interested to see in how these younger kids, what they'll turn up into what they grew up in. Although the young boy that plays the football player, I think he's actually 30 years old. So you can't never even be sure about people's ages. So I didn't like it as much as the first one. I wasn't disappointed with it. If I would have went to the movies and saw it, I would not have been disappointed paying the movie price. But while I would be happy to have Jumanji in my collection, the only real reason that I would ever want Jumanji 2 in my collection is just because I had Jumanji 1. I don't think that I would ever go out and buy the second one on purpose. That's me.
Well, do you know, I haven't bought the second one, but I've got the first one. So I'm in the same.
But it's not as cool as Brian's.
Oh,
Thank you.
no, we don't talk about that. He's had his say. We'll move on. Susan and Alex.
Yeah, I mean, this is the other question. I actually like the first movie better. I mean, of course, it's a game. So, I mean, technically, you could play the game, 300 times if you wanted, and maybe there'll be a different viewpoint or outcome or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I understand they had to modernize it. They weren't going to do a retread. There was a lot of references to the original one. Ironically enough, I know Jack Black has been in a lot of comedies. Maybe he's the cousin to Robin Williams, even though I don't agree with it either. But I think so. And the problem is they had to make it into a video game because maybe the young people wouldn't understand a board game, maybe. Be too old a reference. But yeah, I didn't really like the gender swapping. I did not enjoy the weird viewpoints of philosophy or talking about a cell phone or whatever, because unless you have a really powerful one, it's not going to work in the jungle anyway, and that's probably why they didn't have it in the movie per se. It was interesting how the two girls kind of changed, especially the first one, who seemed very mall. Let's go to the mall and that type of thing. At the end of the movie, she changes, so I guess that's character development. Not exactly sure. Well, yes and no. Like I said, I wonder if they were trying to appeal to, 4 different audience types. I think they were. I think that was the other reason why I didn't like it per se, because I think they were trying to telegraph it, even though it wasn't as obvious. But at the same point, they made it too much like the video game, so you did have a dichotomy, which I understand that's life, but they did have the dichotomy of sort of sacrificing one of their lives to get somewhere in the game. Of course, in a video game, you will have that, accidentally or not. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. I admit it could be a whole lot worse. I just didn't like it like the first one. And I understand they had to switch it up. They weren't going to do a retread. We didn't, that's not original either if you do just a retread. And of course, with it being modern, they're going to have more women characters and have more for them to do than you did in the original. But somehow, I don't know. The first one, I think it's more old-fashioned. I did like Robin Williams' quote from the original movie that he trusts the jungle more than he trusts the city life, which was kind of ironic considering how a city is sometimes called a concrete jungle as well, or a newspaper jungle or whatever. Um, and like I said, I understand part of the point of it as well. And I did like the ironic nod to video games that some characters will say the exact same thing 10 billion times over. They're not even built for saying anything new. So I appreciate that nod. I don't know if it was glitchy. I think the game should have probably been a little bit more glitchy. I don't remember if it was. The villain, wasn't as good as the original either. But then again, I don't know. I wonder if this was a little bit more stunt oriented, which it seemed like it was, and more, let's show these four characters. And like I said, I know they tried. I just didn't like it as good as the original. Maybe it was slightly better than the animated version. But like I said, that's tough. I mean, it's tough to try to I don't know what they're going to do with another sequel in 2 or 3 years, because you have to keep the jungle element in it. So I don't know what they're going to do for a third story. And if it's set in the past, that's the other question. Is it the 1900s? Is it the 1800s? Are they going to jump back and forth, which they do with all the movies? You go from the 60s to the 90s to the present, 2000s. I don't know. Yeah, I would only get this movie if it was included in something else. I would buy the original first before I bought the sequel. But then again, I admit I like technology, but I don't know if I want it so much in my movies and TV shows, because the other problem is with the new ones, then you have too much time with the cell phone, and that's boring to me. So, again, I am probably not exactly the audience that they want either. And that's the other problem with the new TV shows and the new movies. I understand they don't want it set in the 90s, but at the same point, I'm not permanently having a phone attached to my hand. So I don't know if it's a question of emphasis, or if they're trying to get 20-year-olds, and I'm not 20, I'm not even 30 anymore. I'm not quite sure. So, but I mean, I did, like I said, they did try to do, some good things. Yeah, The Rock does need to change his character a little bit. I can't quite believe him as a nerd. I'm sorry. And the Jack Black character, no, it's not exactly original. It was good for the movie. I don't know why they concentrated 6 minutes on men urinating and their, plumbing. I guess that was cute for a modern movie, I guess. But, yeah, I could have lived without it. And like I said, I did like Kevin Hart character, that he wasn't dumb, so I appreciate that. But like I said, yeah, the football player, I didn't believe he was 20 or 18 either. So like I said, I don't know. And like I said, if they had to substitute Nick Jonas, then I don't know how much rewrites they had to do. And what was it, almost 20 years from the last movie, and certainly more than that from the original book, which was in 1981. But needless to say, this also had good reviews, and it made a lot of money as well.
Well, okay. I enjoyed the part. I'm just going to start with my favorite moments in it before I go to the other stuff. My favorite moment was first of all the ride up the Jaguar, being chased by jaguars and guys on motorcycles. That was pretty cool. And then the Karen Gillan, whatever her name was, Ruby, and she gave her life and then fell out of the sky to hand the jewel. I thought that was really amazing. That was cool. And so, but I don't play video games, so I really don't know if that was actually really amazing, or if it was just like ho-hum boring.
They did that on the first take, Susan.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know if video game players would think of that as boring now. But anyway, I wasn't watching it as a video game. I was watching it as a movie. So that's my favorite bit. And the other bit that I liked was the bit that Alex said, "No, I didn't like that." But when Bethany or Jack Black is discussing the the enjoyment of urination, I just thought that was so funny. Oh my gosh, that was just like hilarious. I was rolling, or as Beef Dad would say, sorry that he's not here, that really creased me up. So yeah, that was just a fabulous comedy. Jack Black is really, really funny. And but I really love how they take the story and connect it to the first movie, so it is a sequel, because the establishment of Alan Parrish's little home in the jungle is there, and all of the connection where Alan or the kids had thrown the game into the river, and it rolled down the river, and it ended up out in the ocean. They put bricks on it and everything, and it sunk. But the game wants to be played, so it ended up on the beach. And so really creative story. Karen Gillan, her character Ruby was, she was brilliant. Anyway, I may be freezing right now because it says that my internet is unstable. But anyway, I'm just glad to be here with you guys here, and I'd like to welcome Rob to our group. You've had a lot of good stuff to say. Anyway, and so with that, back to you, Lee. What do you think?
Thank you, Susan. No, you was okay. You wasn't freezing that much. Yeah, for me, I could see why they had to do something different. I'll just get this cat out of my face. Yeah, it's. Yeah, I'm not a fan of The Rock. Jack Black, I can leave or take. But for me, the first one worked better for me because the threat was in the real world. This was in a made-up game. It worked better for me where all the animals was escaping the game. And it would have been better in this movie if we did have the monkeys, the spiders from the original movie, which we didn't really get in this one. Because for me, the humour was lacking for me in this. There was the humour in the original one was far better for me. Maybe that has something to do with Robin Williams. I don't know. Maybe he can't be bettered on humour. I don't think it's a bad movie, but for me, I enjoyed the first one more. The effects are brilliant. The action scenes are brilliant. I wasn't keen on the new version of Van Pelt. Didn't seem to be do much really, apart from having bugs crawling in his ear and out of his mouth.
Okay, so
like
the enemy in the second movie, the guy was Van Pelt.
That was Van Pelt, yes.
Ah.
It's a name of a character in the game. But yeah, it didn't. For me, the first movie worked so well because the threat was in the real world, and Robin Williams made the movie. The actors in this one worked well together. I mean, Karen Gillan, yeah, she kicked butt. Was it dance fighting?
Yep. Dance fighting.
Yeah, dance fighting. That was it. Yeah, and each character had a certain ability, which I thought was good because in games, I'm a gamer, so in games you do have characters with certain abilities and certain weaknesses. And I did laugh that Kevin Hart's character weakness was cake, and I didn't expect him to explode, which I did laugh at that. But yeah, and I did see all the little nods to the original movie with the the elephants, the little chess pieces and stuff like that. It was a good little nod to Robin Williams' character. But for me, I didn't like it as much as the first one. I say we don't know what's going to happen in the third one. If they're going to bring any more characters in, or they're going to reuse the actors from this one, I don't know, to be honest. So, does anybody else have anything to say on this movie before we go to final say and scores?
Me?
Yep, go on then.
Well, I just let's do things. I forgot to say before. I didn't expect to see Colin Hanks at the end as like a little cameo to the older like the as the older character of what Nick Jonas' character was playing. So I didn't expect to see that when I first saw the film. And second thing is, to both of the films, when each person, whomever is playing the game, I mostly saw it as when they're done finished playing. I mostly saw it as the game itself is given the players and the characters a second chance of anything that they've messed up and screwed up with in the past, so they could get it right, and so they could be a better person and everything. So I really, for both of the films, I really think that is a really nice and key component to both of the films.
That was thought provoking there, Brian. I'm sorry, but what have you done with the real Brian? So, while you're on there, Brian, if no one else has got anything to say on the movie, do you want to score it? Your final say? Go on, Brian.
All right, that'll be the first person.
Yeah, both the movies. Go on then.
All right, first movie I probably would have to give a 10 out of 10, and second movie I would probably have to give that a 8 out of 10.
Cool. Stephen Price, let's go to you.
First movie, 10 out of 10. Robin Williams, brilliant in it. Second movie, about 7.5 out of 10.
Right. Okay. Susan and Alex?
First movie, I will give 10 out of 10. And here's Alex for the first movie.
Yeah, I'll have to give it a 9 because there was some things that didn't make sense, and it's definitely set in the 90s, so I didn't really believe it when they went back to the 60s, to tell you the truth.
What about the second one?
Oh, I thought you wanted to do the second one, like I said, they had to update it. I understand they changed it. I mean, even though I like the cast, I'd have to give it a 7. It felt more like it was a Jurassic Park ripoff or something else besides Jumanji, and I felt like some elements were more than a little forced. It didn't seem quite as common everyday place as the first movie. But like I said, obviously it's a fantasy. Obviously, it's a fairy tale, and they were trying to update it for the second movie. like I said, second movie, I'd probably give it a 7. So I don't know. But like I said, regardless, it appeals to a lot of people and it makes a lot of money. So who knows if they'll make 2 more movies or not.
Thank you. And I will give the second movie an 8 out of 10, or an 8.5 out of 10 actually. Because it was hilarious. And I disagree that there was jeopardy in the real world, because there was jeopardy in the real world. That guy got sucked in and his whole family went to crap. So, I mean, that's a heck of a lot of jeopardy.
But that happened in the first one as well.
I know, but it's a heck of a lot of jeopardy. I mean, it could kill, if they die in the game, do they die in real life? Anyway. And what's real? So there.
I'm certainly not real. So we will go over to Rob for his final say and scores.
Wow. I kind of feel like I'm going to be the heavy here.
You haven't heard what I've got to say yet.
Okay, well, good. Maybe we have more in common than what we've come to find out. The first movie, while I did enjoy it, Robin's great and everything. I love Bonnie Hunt. She's a beautiful woman. She can marry me whenever she has the whim to. The cast was great. I can't take away from the cast. But I hate it when I read a book, And for example, from the very start of the film, when we see Bibi talking with the kid, she says, "I got called into the principal's office already," and that's all we heard about it. But there's a whole thing behind that. They should have left that out if they weren't going to fully address it. So one of the reasons I'm going to give it a lower rating is because of the things that maybe they did or didn't do that should have been done, like I just mentioned. I want so bad to give it an 8, just because I love Robin. But I got to say 7. I got to say 7. And it not because of any.
Susan's cursing now. Look at that.
Well, it's not got anything to do with performances. It's got how they didn't translate the book well. That's what I have a problem with. And I guess that's what happens if you read a book and watch the movie. You see, the books are always better. For the second one, wow. I'm glad you guys can't throw things at me from here. 4. I'm giving it a 4. I didn't really see anything fresh, and I gotta agree with you, Lee. I wanted the monkeys. I wanted the mosquitoes. I wanted all that stuff to be in the jungle. It should have been there, and it wasn't. How did they screw that stuff up? I mean, so I got to give it a 4. I'm sorry. That's me.
Oh, hey, I hope Rob's going to join us on Warcast because he's going to upset the apple cart. All right. Is it me now? I've been through everybody, haven't I? Yeah. Let's see. The first one, I enjoyed it. Robin Williams, class act. There is some things now you're looking at watching it, you can see the strings on the spiders, you can see the strings on the tail of the monkey, what the kid turns into, but it don't take that away from it. I'm giving this an 8, the first one, for Jumanji, the original. The second one, Welcome to the Jungle. Oh, do I go higher than what Rob did? I'm going to give it a 6.5. I I enjoyed the original one far better. And for me, the humour works better in that one than it did the sequel. And as it said, there should have been the spiders in this. There should have been the monkeys. There should have been the vines. It should have been everything in it. What was in the original, what was in the game, should have been in this one, and it wasn't. And so that takes it away. That brings my score down to that. So, well, it's still a watchable movie, and what we always say is, don't take our word for it. You'll go out there and watch it yourself and make up your own mind. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me here today. I hope you all had fun. If not, please write it on a piece of paper and send it via pigeon. And I will sort through the problems later on. But please, guys, out there, if you like this video, please leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought of these movies, what you thought of the cast members. Should we get rid of Brian, or does he stay for another week? Please, it's down to you guys. The people can speak, Brian. It's up to the public. You're up against the public vote.
Oh man.
Oh yes. And also, guys out there, you can follow us on Twitter at Geeks Assembled. We've also got a Tumblr, and we're on Facebook, your public Facebook group. There, you can join us there. And if you want to be in these casts, get in touch. Leave a message. Leave a message with any of the cast members. You'll find us on Facebook or wherever. Go on, Susan.
Bit like Rob.
Like Rob, yeah.
Yeah. See, can you see the word sucker across my forehead?
Oh dear. What?
Ooh.
I've had a great time. You guys are fun.
I'm just wounded now.
You can't be. You're Superman.
No, I don't like Superman. I don't know why I'm a Batman fan. Have I done everything, Susan? Is that it? Can we go now?
Yeah, you can go now. Thanks.
All right. See you. Bye.